All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are taking a deep dive into one of the most hardworking, yet seriously underrated organs in your entire body, the kidney. It's a biological masterpiece, really, a purification plant that's way more sophisticated than anything we humans have ever managed to build. So let's kick this off with a pretty mind-blowing question. How on earth does your body manage to filter and clean a staggering 180 liters of fluid every single day? I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like taking a full-sized bathtub of liquid and purifying it completely. The answer, of course, lies within these two small bean-shaped powerhouses. To really appreciate just how amazing the kidney is, we first have to understand the problem it's solving. See, every second of every day, your body is humming with activity. And all that activity, well, it creates waste.
And all this constant activity, we call it metabolism. It's kind of like a two-sided coin. On one side, you've got assimilation, that's building things up, like making new cells. And on the other side, you've got dissimilation, that's breaking things down for energy. And it's that breaking things down part where our story really gets interesting.
When you metabolize carbs and fats for energy, what you're left with is basically carbon dioxide and water. Pretty manageable stuff. But when your body breaks down proteins, that's a whole different ballgame. You still get CO2 and water, sure, but you also get this nasty little byproduct, NH3 or ammonia. And let me tell you, ammonia is seriously toxic to your system.
So here's the big takeaway. Your body has a major nitrogen problem. The CO2 is easy enough. Your lungs just breathe it out. But this nitrogenous waste from proteins is a different beast entirely. It's way too dangerous to just let it hang around, so your body had to evolve a highly specialized, super efficient system to deal with it.
And that, of course, brings us to the solution. So let's meet the body's elite cleanup crew, the organ designed to tackle this toxic waste problem head-on, the kidney. To really get the kidney's genius, let's compare it to the liver for a second. Imagine your bloodstream is a big, flowing river. The liver is kind of like someone standing on the riverbank trying to fish out specific pieces of trash as they float by. It works, it's pretty efficient, but you might miss a few things. The kidney, on the other hand, it uses what you might call a brute force method. It says, nope, we're not taking any chances. It diverts the entire river, runs every last drop through a massive purification plant, and then returns the perfectly clean water back to the riverbed. It's way more energy intensive for sure, but it is incredibly thorough. And here it is, the factory itself. That outer reddish layer you see, that's the cortex. And the inner, more striped-looking part is the medulla. These two zones are where all the action is. Blood comes rushing in through that big red artery, gets processed, and then squeaky clean blood flows out through the blue vein, while all the waste gets sent down that little tube at the bottom, the ureter. And when I say this process is energy intensive, I am not kidding. Just look at this. Per gram of tissue, the kidneys are the second biggest energy hogs in your entire body. The only thing that beats them is the brain. That's right, they use more energy gram for gram than your heart, which is beating every single second of your life. That tells you just how ridiculously hard they're working 24/7. Okay, so we've seen the factory from the outside. Now let's go inside. We're going to zoom way, way in, past the organ level to the microscopic machinery that makes it all possible. Welcome to the nephron factory. And this is the nephron. This is the true hero of our story. It's the functional unit of the kidney. And get this, you have about 1 million of these intricate little factories packed into each of your kidneys. 1 million of them, all working in parallel. It's just amazing. So what's the secret sauce? How does the nephron actually force all that fluid out of the blood? You might think there's some kind of tiny pump in there, right? Nope. It uses something far more elegant, something just brilliantly engineered. Pressure. Okay, check this out, because the physics at play here are just beautiful. Blood enters this tiny little knot of capillaries. Now, notice how the tube leading in is wider than the tube leading out? That's not an accident. It's a simple design trick that's like putting your thumb over the end of a garden hose. It just naturally cranks up the pressure inside. That's a hydrostatic pressure pushing fluid out, but it's a balancing act. You've got other forces pushing back in. When you do all the math, you're left with this gentle but constant net filtration pressure, perfectly calibrated to squeeze the liquid part of the blood right out. So what gets pushed out? Well, basically everything small. Water, salts, glucose, amino acids, vitamins, and, of course, the waste products we're actually trying to get rid of. The only things that get left behind in the blood are the big things, like your red and white blood cells and large proteins. They're just too big to fit through the filter. So this initial fluid that's collected is almost identical to your blood plasma, just without the big molecules. Okay, wait a minute. This sounds great, but it's also created a massive problem. In its effort to get rid of all the bad stuff, the kidney has just tossed out a ton of good stuff too. It's like throwing out your wallet and keys along with the weekly trash. So the next stage of the process, and maybe the most impressive, is getting all the good stuff back. This is the Great Reclamation. Now, get ready for this number. Over the course of a single day, your kidneys filter about 170 liters of this primary urine into all those tiny nephrons. That is a massive amount of fluid and valuable solutes that your body absolutely cannot afford to just lose. And yet, you only produce about 1.5 liters of actual urine per day. So, where did the other 168.5 liters go? They were reclaimed. Taken back. This incredible contrast just shows you how mind-blowingly efficient the reabsorption process is. We're talking more than 99% of what was initially filtered is taken right back into the body. And this reclamation happens in stages as the fluid takes a long, winding trip through the nephron's tubule. First, right at the beginning, the body frantically grabs back all the VIPs, 100% of the glucose, vitamins, and amino acids. Then, the next section works on reclaiming a huge amount of water. And finally, near the end, the body does some fine-tuning, reabsorbing just the right amount of salts and ions based on what it needs at that exact moment. And that brings up a really important point. This reclamation machinery is designed to grab all of the glucose, every last bit of it. So if a doctor finds sugar in a urine test, it means the glucose levels in the blood are so incredibly high that they've completely overwhelmed this reabsorption system. The pumps just can't keep up. It's one of the classic warning signs of diabetes. Now, a factory this complex and this important can't just run on autopilot, right? It's constantly being adjusted and fine-tuned by a sophisticated hormonal control system to meet your body's ever-changing needs. Let's start with water balance. Say you've been working out and you're getting dehydrated. Your brain senses this and releases a hormone called vasopressin, or ADH. This hormone travels down to the kidneys and basically tells them, hey, we're low on water, hold on to as much as you can. It opens up more water channels in the tubules, allowing the kidneys to pull more water back into the blood. That means less water is lost, and your urine becomes darker and more concentrated. It's your body's built-in water conservation system. And then there's aldosterone. You can think of this as the salt retention hormone. Its main job is to maintain blood volume and blood pressure. It sends a command to the kidneys to reclaim more salt. And here's a fundamental rule of biology. Where salt goes, water follows. So by reclaiming more salt, the kidneys indirectly reclaim more water, which helps keep your blood volume and pressure right where they need to be. So let's just step back and quickly recap the kidneys' absolutely critical jobs. Number 1, they're master janitors, filtering out waste and foreign substances. That's their excretory role. Number 2, they're also little factories producing vital hormones. That's synthesis. And number 3, they are the ultimate regulators, masterfully controlling your blood pressure, pH, and your water-salt balance. That's homeostasis. We'll leave you with this one final thought. Your kidneys work tirelessly, filtering your body's entire 5-liter blood supply roughly every 20 minutes. That's 3 times an hour all day, every day. So the real question is, knowing just how incredibly hard they work for you, what are you doing to help them?